Could you please state your names?
Joseph Diamond,
Elva Diamond.
And what's your relation?
man and wife for 70 years.
What unit were you in, Mr. Diamond?
I was with the 104th Infantry Division called the Timberwolves in Germany.
And what was your role?
I was a combat medic.
After you came home, can you talk to me about the difficulties you had readjusting to civilian life?
Well, it was hard to forget the nightmare that we faced every day for better than 100 straight days of combat. The nightmares were there and couldn't go to sleep at night without fighting the war all over again and scaring the devil out of my wife, screaming in my sleep.
And Mrs. Diamond, can you talk to me about your memories?
Well, many nights he would start screaming, sometimes incoherently, sometimes not. And I had to be aware of getting punched and kicked and practically strangled. And those nights, as soon as I would hear that, I would jump out of bed, scared to death, and maybe go into the den until he calmed down. And other nights he would talk about seeing a sniper and wanting to shoot the sniper. And he was just, it wouldn't last too long. It may last sometimes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but when it was pretty bad. Scary.
Did you realize you were doing this at night, sir?
No, I was completely out of it. But I would wake up in a cold sweat and I know I'd been through some trauma in my sleep, but I didn't remember what I said or did in my sleep.
He would make strange noises in his sleep many nights, most nights.
Besides sleeping, with nightmares, when you were out in the world during the day, did you notice anything else that affected you based,
Loud noises, sudden, like if a car backfired, I'd want to hit the ground. Any loud noises would get me very riled up. Mostly outside noises. I couldn't tolerate them too well.
Did you notice anything, Mrs. Diamond?
Now I think he did very well on the outside. I think he hid a lot of it, and I think he put on sometimes a good act. So, I mean, from all outward appearances, he adjusted quite well. Better than at night.
How old were you both when you got married?
I was 27.
I was 20.
Did this happen immediately or after a few years?
No, after a few years. It seemed to happen, right?
Yeah.
Would you guys talk about it during the day, or was it just something that...
No, we didn't talk about it. I would say to him, you had a dream last night, or you were talking about a sniper, and I couldn't understand some of the things you were saying, and you were moaning and groaning and screaming, and that would be it. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what he was saying.
And could you tell me, sir, about your experience at the reunions?
Well, she'll tell you that I walked out of there crying. I felt so bad looking at the kind of shape some of my buddies were in at the Union. So many of them in wheelchairs and with limbs missing.
Well, also, at what was your company, there were so few left?
Yeah. Well, there were only 6 of them.
I mean, there were only 6.
Out of 200.
Where the other companies had a lot of, I could have 60 to 100 people there.
Cake Company, well, I'm afraid was a jinx company. We thus lost most of the company.
The reunions that you guys went to, was it division reunions or company?
The division.
But there weren't many men from your company?
You were very conspicuous by our absence at the reunion in Seattle. Or the one I only went to 2 of them. The other one was outside of Washington.
It was too hard to go to the others?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a wreck. I was a wreck.
I mean, did he actually cry?
Yeah, he did at times. Yeah. But there
Yeah.
were not, well, the ones that he was close to, were there. A few of them were there, and it was kind of very sentimental.
Yeah, I just.
But they got over it fast. They had a good time.
The way that people talked about combat fatigue back then versus how they're talking about it now,
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
I
A fancy word for combat fatigue or shell shock.
I think that after the Second World War, that he should have had some therapy.
I mean,
And others like him. But they didn't realize it then, how important it was.
I mean, did anyone try to give you therapy or console you, or were you just told to like man up and move on?
Man
Yeah.
up and move on.
Pretty much, just something I'll get out of my system, I thought.
Did you guys ever have a sit down and actually talk about the war together later on in your marriage?
Not really. I think we talked about his friends. We were visited by one of his friends that lived close by. We went out with them. And at the reunion, we were with them. But no, it wasn't something that he liked to talk about all the time.
And last thing, could you both tell me the story of how you met?
Go on, you tell them.
Actually,
Together.
It was a blind date, and he and his buddy were supposed to pick me up at my girlfriend's house. I was there, and as soon as the two of them walked in, he came over to me, and I was his date for the night, and we went to a party, and it was kind of a big party, and we were eating and had a drink or two, and I didn't know that then, he told my girlfriend, whose party it was, that he was going to marry me. And she said, "You're crazy." He said,
No, she said you're drunk.
"You're drunk." He said, "I may be drunk, but I'm still going to marry her." And a year later, we were married.
What do you remember when you first saw Mrs. Diamond?
When I first saw her, well, it was the first time I ever dated a redhead. I was fascinated by her shoulder-length red hair. She had a pretty face, a pretty good body. I figured, hey, I gotta have some of that.
But when you first saw her, it was really like...
Yeah,
It was immediate.
For him, it was love at first sight.
It was love at first sight.
I mean, but did you just feel something inside of you that just...
It's just something said, this gal is for you. And I knew that 20 minutes after I met her, I said,
And the day after the party, he took me to meet his parents.
and that's the only time I ever took anybody to meet my parents. But that was the next day.
The next day, and what about you, Mr. Diamond? When you first met him?
I never thought about that. I just thought he was just being nice. I'm going to meet his parents. I didn't think it was anything serious at that point. I was kind of young and dating and didn't think about it until he just kind of grew on me, his personality. He was a good dancer and he liked to tell jokes and he was very affectionate. So he kind of grew on me.
My final thing is, together you guys are 187 years old.
Wow. Oh, boy.
So
70 and now I...
the 90 and 97,
Boy,
right? That's 187.
You're right.
Is life when you get older? I mean, both of you are doing great physically and mentally, but is it tough when there's no one above you? You know, that there's no one older than you to talk to or to go to for advice?
Lonely. Very lonely.
Well, we're very active, and we walk the mall. I walk the whole mall, and he walks half the mall now. We used to walk around twice. We also go to senior aerobics 3 times a week. And in senior aerobics, there are quite a few women that are older than I am, not men. I think are you the oldest?
Huh?
Are you the oldest?
Yes.
So I don't feel it as much as he does.
Well, the women outnumber the men, just by normal statistics. They
And
just-
we have two friends, well, I mean, a couple that live here, and he's gonna be 98. And he is even more active. He swims and he goes to the
He's
gym.
9 months older than me. He's the only guy I know on this planet
And she's gonna be
that's
90
older
this
than me.
month. So,
And just last thing, together, what is some wisdom that you guys want to give to the world?
I think, I just read this just yesterday.
What?
How to live a long life as a couple. And I think we've done that. We've always been interested in a lot of things. Luckily, we're interested in the same things. And we've always been very active physically and mentally. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
Anything else you want to say?
That's it, except that you're doing an outstanding job.
No. I
Yeah. I have nothing but respect and admiration for you.
I think the world of you guys, and I appreciate the opportunity to meet you all. Give me some nice final words.
Final words? Enjoy life. Meet a nice woman.
Yeah.
Have children and enjoy it.
And make somebody laugh every day.
He likes to do that.